Hello everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Group on YouTube. Today we are doing another rankings video. It's going to be every AEW World Champion so far, ranked from worst to best. And yeah, so I'm going to go through that. I've watched a good few matches, gone back through each of the reigns and watched some of the top matches, and looked at some of the stats and stuff to be able to rank them in what order I think that really they should be in. If you've got a different order, that's fine. Let me know in the comments. I always like opinions. And basically just let me know at the end of the video whether you like it or not. Shout out to Dave Anderson once again for doing me a fantastic thumbnail for this episode. He's been doing all my rankings video thumbnails up to now, so if you have a look through them, he does some great artwork, and much appreciated for sorting me out once again, David. So we'll go in. So there's been 6 world champions so far in AEW, MJF being the current world champ, and Chris Jericho being the first. So I'm going to go through from 6, which means the worst, down to number 1, which is the best. So we'll go straight into it now with number 6, and it can't be anyone else. I'm sorry if you're a Punk fan, but CM Punk has to be the worst AEW champion so far. And to be honest with you, I don't think anyone can argue the point. You know, he's been a 2-time AEW world champ. First time when he won the belt, he beat first time, it was Hangman, wasn't it? He beat Hangman. He had a great match, and then obviously went and threw himself into the crowd again, broke his foot, so he was out injured. So then they obviously created the interim AEW World Championship instead of taking the belt off him, because they really wanted to push him as champ, which then Jon Moxley won. Moxley then carried the interim championship until Punk was ready to come back. Then Punk comes back and they do AEW World Champion versus AEW Interim World Champion to, you know, combine the titles, which then CM Punk lost in a very, very quick and shocking fashion, to be honest. Like, I did hope Mox would win, because I'm a big Mox fan. But for him to win in the quick, short amount of time that he did was really shocking, to be honest. Obviously, and then he wins it back again from Moxley a couple of days later at the pay-per-view, does the media scrum, and everyone knows what happened there. Gets suspended, belt stripped, and he hasn't been back since. So he's a 2-time world champion and not successfully defended it once. In fact, he's only defended it the one time, and he lost it to Mox in a very short, quick match. So, I mean, you can only really rank him based on the fact that, like I say, he's held it twice, he's not defended it successfully, his only title defence he lost, and it was like in a couple of minutes, and so the only match he's really got that's worth anything is the one against Hangman when he first won it. So it's got to be CM Punk at number 6, which is unfortunate, because like his WWE Championship reign back in the day is considered still now to this day one of the best reigns of all time. But you know, in AEW, for me, CM Punk shouldn't have been world champ, but we won't go into that. He is a world champ. He's listed as a 2-time world champ, but he's got to be the most unsuccessful world champion. And I can't imagine many other world champions in different companies would be any worse, to be honest. Like, that is a terrible, shocking stat to have, isn't it? So that's number 6, CM Punk. So we go to number 5. Now, number 5 for me is MJF. Why is MJF number 5? He's not held it that long. He's our current AEW World Champ. He's doing some great things on the mic. You know, he had his first match against Ricky Starks, which was okay, wasn't nothing special. And then obviously just recently, he's had the match in the Ironman, which went for an hour and then into extra time for him to retain against Danielson. So, you know, a fantastic match, brilliant match, definitely worth checking if you haven't seen it yet, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you haven't, go and watch it. Absolutely brilliant. You know, probably the best match of MJF's career, definitely the longest, and it's probably one of the most important as well for him to go against Danielson and get a victory, cement him, you know, as a world champ, which is what they need. They need him to start facing the big names and start beating them for him to be recognised as a proper, like, one of the best world champs that they could have. They put a lot of time and effort into MJF, so I expect them to go, obviously, big places. I expect, obviously, if we do this video again, say like a year's time, expect them to be a lot lower, down the pecking order, so we'd be near the top, if you like. But right now, he's had Ricky Starks and he's had Danielson, and that's all you can rate him on, is basically what he's done so far. So for me, unfortunately, at the moment, MJF's number 5, but like you say, I expect him to be higher up the list if we do it in, say, a year's time. But right now, based on what he's done, MJF, number 5. So that brings us to number 4. Now, 4, 3 and 2, I had to proper look into. I already knew he was going to be last because it was obvious. Knew he was going to be second to last, and I knew he was going to be top, but fourth, third, and second. Sorry, there we go. 4, 3, 2. Yeah, fourth, third, and second were hard. I had to proper look into their range, look into some of the matches they had, watch some of the matches, look at some of the promos, look at all the different aspects and things that were going on to be able to rank them. And they kept going like that until I solidified it and went with what I've got. And I'm quite happy, and I feel like I've picked the right ones. So, number 4, I'm going to go for the very first AEW World Champion, Chris Jericho. You know, he beat Hangman to win the belt, and then obviously they then done a slow build for Hangman over the next 2 years, which I thought was brilliant. They really needed to hit big straight away, and putting the belt on Chris Jericho from the out-go is brilliant. Gets all eyes on the product. You know, people that weren't interested in AEW before now start hearing, oh, hang on a minute, Chris Jericho, that fella that we liked years ago, he's now world champion again. Hang on, what's going on there? Tune in and watch it. And obviously he'd done some work in New Japan only the year and 2 years prior, so people who obviously liked watching him in Japan then had a look, you know, so all eyes on product. Like, he was already a legend in wrestling, so it was a perfect thing to do. Your first world champion's already a legend, so it was a great idea to make him the first champ. You know, we made it and feel important straight away, but unfortunately he only had 3 title defences. He had Darby Allin, Cody, and Scorpio Sky. Now, a lot of people don't even remember the Scorpio Sky match, unfortunately. They started to go and push him, didn't he? And he ended up with like 2 TNT championship reigns, and then he's just disappeared. I'm not sure whether he's injured or anything. I can't remember, but he's just not on TV anymore, which is unfortunate. But like I say, not a lot of people remember that. Obviously, the big Cody Rhodes storyline was all about, you know, if he challenged Chris Jericho for the belt and didn't win, then, you know, he was never going to be world champ. So that was more like, it was overshadowed by the whole gimmick part of it, of him never then being a world champ if he lost. It was also overshadowed with the whole story of MJF going on and Cody. So, like, his 3 matches really weren't the best, so that's why I'm going to have to put him as number 4. Like you say, he was brilliant as the first world champ. He was perfect to be the first world champ. You know, he brought the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle were dead good at the beginning. He had some really good storylines. But, like I say, unfortunately, he had 3 mediocre matches, really. He had a decent match with Darby. The Cody match was good, but it was overshadowed by everything else that was going on. And a Scorpio Sky match that a lot of people don't even remember happened. So for me, the Ocho, Chris Jericho, like, his Ring of Honor reign would be higher, but his AEW World title reign for me, number 4. And don't forget, he lost the belt as well, so he's got to go higher just for that. He lost the belt after winning it. Number 3, we're going in for number 3 with Hangman Adam Page. Now, I was a bit, like, say, over these couple. I nearly put Hangman second, but I looked into it, and then I started watching matches and promos and everything else, and I thought Hangman's got to go third, unfortunately. You know, we defeated Kenny Omega for it, so that round off the storyline of them being former AEW Tag Team Champions. They were brilliant together as tag champs as well. If you haven't seen the match against the Bucks, get it watched. Fantastic match. He had some great title defences. You know, he faced Bryan Danielson twice for the belt and retained. You know, a massive name in wrestling. Not long after he come into the company, he beat Adam Cole twice. Again, not long after he come into the company, another massive name. Then he beat Lance Archer and he beat Dante Martin as well. So he had 6 successful title defences. Matches were really good. A lot of the matches were brilliant. You know, the Coles and the Danielson matches really good, showed just what he could do in the ring, which I think he did need. He needed to beat big names, which he did. And it was one of the reasons why I was struggling whether or not to put him second, because I feel like his title defences are probably against some of the better out of the lot of the list. You know, Danielson twice, Adam Cole twice, Lance Archer when he was actually on TV for a while. I think they'd done a Texas Death Match. I didn't rewatch that one. I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it was a Texas Death Match. So again, switching up his style and something that he doesn't normally do. But for me, as good as the matches were, like, because he lacks in his promos and his storylines are never really that good. I feel like it lacked something. It just didn't feel right. I know a lot of people got bored of it quite quick. Which I think's unfair, because, you know, we did have some great matches, but again, like, you've got to have the whole character and everything else to build up to it. He'd just come off the back of doing the cowboy shit gimmick that he was doing, where he'd turn up and he'd drink fans' beers and stuff, or he'd come down to the ring with a whiskey and stuff like that. So he'd come away from that, because he was like, I want to be an AEW champion you can be proud of, blah, blah, but it was like the only gimmick, the only thing that was working for you was the whole interaction with the fans. I know, obviously, because of the pandemic, he couldn't then do it, but he could still come out with his own drink, and he could still come out doing cowboy shit and stuff like that. Like, that worked. So we wanted that when he was a champion, but he then decided to change from that gimmick because he wanted to be a champion you could be proud of. And it's sort of like, mate, you had something that worked, which is why we all wanted you to be world champ, and then you become world champ, and then you take that away from us. So it sort of felt flat. Like I say, the matches were great. Storylines, gimmicks and everything else, promos, not the best. Did feel flat, unfortunately. It's another one of the cases of the chase is better than the catch, if you like. So it was better to see him chasing the belt for 2 years and doing himself up, and he was, you know, he had this whole thing with he left the Elite, and then he tag team with Omega. You know, the whole build and everything else that they'd done was really good. Like, say, the gimmick leading up to it with the drinks and stuff like that was really good. You know, they worked well at it. And then he sort of become world champion, and he didn't really know what to do with him after they made him as world champ, which was annoying. Like I say, great matches, but the rest of it just lacked for me. So unfortunately, he's got to go down as number 3 instead of number 2. If it was just based solely on matches, then he probably would be 2, or even could be possibly 1, because, you know, some of them matches were great. But unfortunately, as a whole, he's got to go in at number 3. So through this list quite quick, to be honest. Number 2, Kenny Omega. That gives us Kenny, Mr. Belt Collector. He was brilliant doing that role, wasn't he? You know, world champion and stuff. He went over to Impact. You know, faced Rich Swann for the Impact and the TNA titles, because Rich Swann had just unified the two after Moose brought the TNA strap back. TNA World Championship, and then obviously Rich Swann had the Impact World Championship, and Rich Swann won, kept both belts, and then Omega faced him for the AEW plus the belts, you know, and ended up with all of them, ended up with the AAA as well. You know, Kenny Omega is a massive name in wrestling. He's probably the biggest name in wrestling to have never wrestled for WWE so far. Like, a couple of years ago, that title was given to AJ Styles, and obviously he ended up in WWE. You know, even if you don't watch AEW, you know Kenny Omega is. Even if you never watched New Japan, you know Kenny Omega is. He's a massive name. He's a big star. So putting the belt on him was perfect. You know, it's exactly what you wanted to do. You know, we've gone from, you know, who did we have first? We had Chris Jericho, massive name. We had John Moxley, who became a massive name in AEW. Arguably, wasn't as big in WWE, obviously, as he is now. And then you went to Kenny Omega. You know, he won the belts cheating, because he was over as hell as being this dirty, cheaty heel, but it worked so well. And I can't stand Don Callis, but that's the whole point. You're not supposed to like Don Callis. He's supposed to be like the creepy uncle, isn't he? You know, with the pictures of the both of them on the wall and stuff. But it worked so well, like Callis and Omega when he was world champ. it made it feel really important, and especially then going and putting the belt and taking the belt to another company like Impact, like Impact fans are die-hard fans, like some of the best fans, and there's some of the best, some of the most protective of their product, if you get what I mean. So like Impact fans, a lot of them I do know, don't watch other companies and aren't interested in anything else because it's all Impact, and that's fine. Like a lot of wrestling fans do that. A lot of wrestling fans since AEW become a thing have not watched WWE since. A lot of people have watched WWE all their lives, so will always watch it. It's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with being a die-hard fan. But with like Impact fans, a lot of them are die-hard Impact fans, and they don't tend to, they might keep up with some of the wrestling world, but they don't tend to watch other wrestling product. Um, so then when they then bring in Kenny Omega, it's like, whoa, who's this guy? You know, this is different. And then obviously they brought in different people, and that, and we got Christine Cage returning to Impact, you know, after being signed with AEW, and they done the whole angles there, and that, and it just brought more focus onto AEW. So people that are watching Impact that maybe didn't even bother to look at AEW now going, oh, I need to watch AEW to find out what's happening on Impact. And a lot of people then that didn't watch Impact were going, I need to watch Impact to find out what's going on in AEW. So there was that crossover for a bit, which to be honest with you, for me, if you're a fan of either one, I do think it hurt the product in regards to matches and storylines, but obviously in regards to putting eyes on the product, which is the main reason for doing it, it worked. Like, you know what I mean, there's Impact guys then following AEW, and there's AEW guys then following Impact, you know, and then obviously they put the TNA and Impact World Championships back on Christian Cage, and how many years since he's had them, so then all of a sudden it's like Christian's a world champ, hang on, he was in the Royal Rumble a couple of months ago, bang, there goes WE fans, what's going on over there? So it did work, it worked really well in regards to putting eyes on the product, but for me personally, it just suffered a bit in the lack of the matches and the quality, and, you know, half the time your world champions disappeared. But nevertheless, he's a massive name, he's a massive star, people are going to know who he is, people are going to start looking at your product because he's the world champ. You know, he had some good title defences. He's the longest AEW World Champ to date in his one reign, just under a year, I think it was, 343 days, something like that. I haven't wrote it down, to be honest, I should have done, but I think it's about 340 days, something like that. So he's the longest reigning AEW World Champ. He had some cracking matches against like Ray Fenix. That was a brilliant match for the World Championship. You know, Rich won. He had the rematch against Moxley. He faced Orange Cassidy and Pac. He had that triple threat. That was really good, especially after Pac had beaten a year or two previous. Jungle Boy and then Christian Cage. So, you know, he had some good matches, but I like the fact that he mixed it up as well. He had some of the future going against like him, Fenix and Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy, you know, that, and then mixed up with some of the already well-known guys in Pac and Mox and Christian. You know, he mixed it between the two, which is really good. You know, to be able to do that as a world champ. So that is Kenny Omega at number 2. So it gives us CM Punk at number 6, MJF at number 5, Chris Jericho at number 4, Hangman Page at number 3, Kenny Omega at number 2, and of course there's only one spot left, Jon Moxley. I mean, who else was it going to be? Some people might disagree with me, and some people might say it's biased because I am a massive Jon Moxley fan. I like Dean Ambrose, I was a Dean Ambrose fan, and then became a massive Jon Moxley fan. But my reasonings are here. So I'm going to give you my reasonings to let you know why I've picked him. So he's the only 3-time AEW World Champ. In his first reign, you know, he beat Chris Jericho. They done the whole storyline with the eye patch thing. It was a bit mad, but it worked. It was fun. It was goofy, and it worked for what they wanted to do. You know, he then went in his first reign, and he defended the championship more than anyone else has done so far. He had 9 successful title defenses in his first reign as AEW champ. Not to mention, it was during the pandemic period. So, you know, we got into the pandemic. No one knew what was going on. A lot of wrestling shut down. We then started doing no audience wrestling and stuff like that. So for the company to trust a name like Jon Moxley, who was just coming up from basically being crap and underused in WWE. He had a little stint in New Japan to start building his name back up, and then he come in. But as soon as he come in, he made an impact in AEW. Like, they made him a star. They wanted him as their guy. And if you can call anyone Mr. AEW, it has to be Jon Moxley. You know, like saying his first World Championship reign, defended the belt 9 times. Most of it was during the pandemic. You know, he's carrying the company on his back through a time of uncertainty. He faced, who did he face? He faced Jake Hager. He faced Brody Lee. Oh, that was such a good story. We heard Brody naffed off with the belt. Faced Brian Cage when Brian Cage first come into it, and he was deemed to be a big thing with Taz. And they give him the FTW belt in the build up to this. Darby Allin, really underrated match, enjoyed that fully. He even beat MJF, he beat Eddie Kingston twice, he beat The Butcher, he beat Lance Archer. You know, he had 9 successful title defences, most of them really good matches. And like I say, he was the champion during the pandemic period. Second reign, he started as the interim AEW World Champion. Like I say, obviously CM Punk went and got himself injured, broke his foot. So then he done the whole story, he done the tournaments and everything, and the winner of the tournaments, like he faced Danielson, Hangman, and whoever else was in the tournaments, and he built it up, and then the winner was then facing off against Hiroshi Tanahashi in Forbidden Door to be crowned AEW World Champ. So obviously he beat Tanahashi. I mean, that's a big feat in itself, beating Tanahashi to become the AEW interim World Champ. He defended the belt 3 times, beat Chris Jericho. They went back and gone through their rivalry again. Beat Brody King and beat Rush as well. Whoosh. So, you know, we had 3 successful title defences against 3 big guys, 3 decent names. And then, of course, then they bring CM Punk back. CM Punk comes back, like I said previously. You have Punk as the AEW World Champ. You have Mox as the interim AEW World Champ. You know, having to carry the company once again when CM Punk got injured. They entrusted Mox to then lead the heavyweight division forward. You know, Jericho's probably a bit too old to be back in that title picture again. You know, you got, and say CM Punk's injured. Kenny Omega was out injured at the time. He was having loads of surgery done. He ended up being out for 8-9 months at one time, the amount of surgery he needed, because he's needed a few years. So there's a lot of big names that weren't in at the time. So Mox again puts the company on his back, pushes forward, and then obviously they have the match where they then do Mox versus Punk. Then obviously Mox then squashes Punk. That solidifies his reign as a second AEW World Championship reign instead of an interim one. So that then solidifies his reign. He then goes and loses the belt, obviously a couple of days later, in the pay-per-view to CM Punk. Then we all know what happens. What happens next? Media scrum. So then again, what happens? Strip the belt. Right, what do we do now? So they do another tournament. So they decide again who's going to be AEW World Champ. Who becomes AEW World Champ again for the 3rd time? Jon Moxley, of course. Who else? You got the guy who's put the company on his back to carry it through the pandemic. The guy who puts the company on his back and goes and carries it through big injuries. And then what happens? The company looks like a joke. It's a mess. You've got fellas from the same company fighting each other, and it's all over social media. And basically the company looks like a mess. It looks like a joke. Then Moxley comes out, cuts this brilliant promo about how AEW is the company, you know, the World Championship, it means so much. And all of a sudden he's done this big, massive promo, and everyone's like, yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of crap going on, but hang on a minute, this product is still worth watching. Because it was starting to look like a bit of a farce, wasn't it? You know what I mean? You got people, wrestlers that are in positions that they probably shouldn't be in, and then it's causing issues and everything else. But I'm not going to take sides, I'm not going to go too much into that. But again, company looks like a joke. We need someone to carry this through this mess. Who else are you going to pick? Moxley put the company back on his back for the 3rd time, pushes on, and he has 2 successful title defences against Hangman Page and Penta El Zero Miedo. So Jon Moxley for me, and then obviously he puts over MJF in his match to lose the belt. And like you say, you can't look any further than Jon Moxley. Carries the company on his back through a pandemic, carries it through an injury crisis, carries it through a media mess. you know, who else are you going to pick? He is, for me, Mr. AEW. He's the guy who's the most reliant, most dependable. Like, if you need someone to carry the company, it's Mox. Like I say as well, he's been a three-time champ, the only three-time champ. In his first defence as well, he's successfully defended it 9 times, which is more than any other wrestler. Even Kenny Omega, who's held the belt for nearly a year, has managed to defend it. So, undoubtedly for me, Jon Moxley solidified at number 1. So I'll run through again. You got CM Punk number 6 with no successful title defences. You got MJF at number 5. He's our current AEW World Champ, so he's only had 2 title defences so far, but a fantastic one against Danielson. Yeah, Chris Jericho, our first AEW World Champ, at number 4. You got the young Hangman Adam Page coming in at number 3. You got the world-known star Kenny Omega coming in at number 2, and of course Mr. AEW, Mr. Reliance, Mr. Dependable, Mr. I'm going to pull this company through all the crap I need to pull it, Jon Moxley. So there you have it. That's my 6 world champions ranked from top to bottom. So let me know in the comments. Let me know what your rankings are. Let me know who you think is the best AEW world champion so far. Let me know if you agree with me comments. If you think that maybe any of my comments are wrong, let me know. Just let me know if you've liked and enjoyed the video. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already to my YouTube channel, and keep an eye out for more wrestling figure unboxing videos coming soon, and also keep an eye out for any more rankings videos. The next one will be announced in the next few days, as these are starting to get decent views. Like I say, just keep me active, keep me comments coming, and the content will keep coming to you, and I appreciate everyone that watches and enjoys these videos. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll catch up soon.